Good afternoon, everyone, especially all the early birds. Very much appreciate you. Happy New Year to anyone I haven't been able to see since December 24th. Hope everyone's doing well. So we're going to give a few minutes to folks that'll be kind of like trickling in. I like to spend the first 10 minutes, like just giving people a chance to join us, even though I want to start promptly. And so if anyone has any announcements or any, upcoming events or initiatives they'd like to share, the floor is open for folks to share thoughts, just until about maybe 5:10 as we kind of wait for others to join.
Oh, thank you. I can make an announcement.
Please.
Let's see. Get my camera going.
And Happy New Year, Allison.
Yeah, Happy New Year to everyone. I'll just share just for general knowledge. Didn't know. So DCPS and the teachers union, the contract was finalized and signed. The updated contract, I believe it's a 5-year contract. So council approved, the mayor signed, and honestly, that is a great thing. It is great for DCPS. It's great for our schools. The teachers are getting salary raises. I saw some things in there about mental health leave and some other things that the teachers had really been wanting. So if there are any teachers on the call, feel free to comment. But I've been checking with Dr. Brodus, our kindergarten teacher, who's the building rep for WTU, and just others. And this was actually this is a really, really good thing. So I think we may be ahead of the curve compared to some other cities in terms of, how we're treating our teachers. So that's a great thing for Beers and a great thing for the city. So I just wanted to make sure people knew that.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Allison. Any other announcements? Thank you for those who've just joined us. We're giving folks an opportunity to come in, and while we're giving people an opportunity to trickle in, we're allowing for and asking for any announcements that whether it's recent events like the signing of the teachers union's contract or upcoming initiatives that our attendees want to share. Ms. Davis, is your hand up? Oh, that's a mouse. Okay, it's a cursor. Hey, Ms. Brodus. We can't hear you yet, Dr. Brodus.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing pretty good.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I thought that you were going to want to make an announcement when I saw you come on screen, but you're.
Oh, you thought I was getting on this call to start begging?
Yeah, that's a part of the job, right? I have to listen to
a few of these meetings and just sit quietly. What about
I mean, anytime you would like to speak and or participate, you are more than welcome, right?
Thank you.
I'm waiting on our what is it, technical support to add me as a host when it gets a chance, so that I can share the meeting agenda.
Okay.
I'm about to try to drop it in the chat if I need to. Yeah, I actually left my phone, I think, in the front room. Let me run and get that real quick so I can text them. I'll be right back. Also, feel free to make any announcements that need to be made as folks, come in, and we will get started in force probably about 5:10. Be right back.
Second, he'll be back.
Okay. Well, that is one way to brighten my day. Hey, you, can you see mom in the car? She's on the way to come get you. Mm-mm-mm. You know, Miss Brodus, if you wanted to start begging, now would be the time. All the weaknesses are exposed.
I thought I'd warm you up.
You did a great job, baby girl. That's my little lady right there. All right. And have a little bit of a cold going on here, so if I'm short of breath or anything, I was working out and found out that I got some sort of kind of a little bit of congestion going on. So please keep me in your prayers, as my pastor would say, because I'm not doing the greatest. Okay, so while we wait on um, the technical rights to add to the agenda, I'm going to go ahead and read it for folks. See if I can copy and paste it from my notes into the chat. Um, oh, there we go. Perfect. Thank you very much, sir. Very much appreciated. Right on time. Okay. Now I can share our agenda. And can everybody see our agenda? To make it bigger or smaller? Okay, thanks. Very much appreciated. And we are just like about 2 minutes out. So I'm gonna make one final call for any announcements that everyone wants to make. We want to give everyone about uh, till about 5:10 before we get started. Don't want anyone to miss any critical information. Okay. Well, it's 5:09. Go ahead and move forward. So, I wanted to start by welcoming everyone and thanking everyone for coming out, for attending tonight's meeting, and especially for the success of the Winterfest event. Particularly, I want to thank my board members. They did an awesome job between Tyler and his coordination, Bianca and her event planning, Shantice with all of the sweets and treats that anyone could ask for. Miss Lucas made sure that the playlist was tight and the audio and sound was taken care of, as well as helping to host the various tables, running around doing pickup. Nura and Shanita did all of the logistics and distribution. We had roughly 200, 220, participants join us, families and students. And it was much larger than last year, which we thought we had already accounted for, but it was even larger than that. We had to run back to the store and get more materials. Shanita and Miss Nura and Miss Lucas did a great job distributing those materials. Miss Watt just kept everything harmonized, kept us all on point and smiling. And then I also want to thank the teachers who dropped by and helped out when they actually came to hang out for the event. Specifically, I remember I'm hoping I'm not forgetting anybody, but I remember Miss Bugs, I think Dr. Brodus and Miss Thayer helping when they really didn't have to. So I appreciate that.
And Miss Crawford.
And Miss Crawford. And Miss Crawford. Thank you very much. It's my Sergeant at Arms right there. Thank you, Madam Sergeant at Arms. Okay. Yeah. So that being said, I'm going to move directly into talking about some of the different things that we have going on. We're just getting back together at the start of the school year, and I really want to keep this meeting to our original intent of an hour and 30 minutes. I know that this school year we've had, and I mean, rightfully so, we've had some very enjoyable long meetings. But it's a Thursday night, and I want to keep it, brief and want to keep it tight. It's not a lot of speakers tonight. I want to run over our general housekeeping and points for the year, and then we'll move forward from there. So, where is my note? First thing I want to highlight is recently in U.S. news, we were recognized as the 46th elementary school by rank. And I mean, we're first in all of our hearts, but by rank in the amongst elementary schools in the District of Columbia. Now that makes us, you know, the top 50% in the city. We're in the top 50%. But east of the river, amongst traditional DC public schools, we're actually number one. We're number one in Ward 7. We're number one in Ward 8 amongst traditional DC public schools. Got a couple people in the charter sector competing for the crown, but we're doing really well. One of the things that I like to do is like brainstorm with everyone ways in which we can celebrate this. The team got together and we've been talking about ways that we could not only enjoy this recognition, but also utilize this recognition to promote our school, to promote our fundraising efforts, so on and so forth. But before we get into that, I wanted to hear from our attendees, how can we celebrate this? And obviously the PTO would support it, but how can we celebrate this achievement, this status, in a way that our PTO, our parent teacher organization members would feel is meaningful? Don't everybody jump in at one time. Okay.
I'll jump in, Mr. President.
I appreciate you, Principal Branch, as always.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was about to start calling names. I
So
see you, Mr. Terry. I know you have ideas.
First, well, what is it? Good evening. I was gonna say I can send you some things that we have, because when we received the recognition, U.S. News also sent a follow-up email with ways you can celebrate and promote the recognition outside. So they had those feather flags that you can have outside of the school, like how we had those now enrolling big feather flags. They have those feather flags that say U.S. News recognized top 50. It's a substantial amount. We've ordered some things, but that is something they can be outside the school. There are also banners that can hang outside of the school. They kind of get nailed to the brick walls or so forth. So they have a lot of promotional materials that we could purchase to kind of like hang around the school or decorate around the school that could show it. We had a press release, I think a few, like a week ago, we received a press release, but we could also like work with the Washington Post or even our district's press team to see what else we can do to promote it. I will say I'm glad you're doing that, because some of the superintendents in the district, I guess maybe not because they weren't elementary schools, but some of the superintendents in the district didn't know about the honor itself or how schools can become recognized.
Absolutely.
So I can send you, but what I have is just like, not just, but it's more along the lines of promoting it within the immediate community. So you would have to come up to the school to see it versus getting it throughout the neighboring wards in our district.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's awesome, and that works really well. You mentioned community, and so I want you to know that immediately members in leadership from the Hillcrest community called the day the first post went out. Specifically, Earl Williams, several folks from who's been a big fundraiser. You may not have met him. It's been a big fundraiser and big fundraising assistant for Ann Beers. All like donated a whole collection of art for this past year's Art Alive, so on and so forth. We may have to reschedule, but he was going to host an event at his house. He just told me that he may have to reschedule to the beginning of next month, and so I would have already invited you, but he told me over the weekend, and he told me last week that he may need to make a change, and over the weekend we realized that he would probably need to reschedule. That being said, the Hillcrest community and Pembroke community want to both celebrate the achievement and honor the school. And it really helps with our effort around sponsorship in some ways, because it's a great time to talk about those individual $99 community sponsors. Then the board specifically spoke about having maybe an ice cream social, student recognition ceremony, a community open house, or doing something really special during Teachers Appreciation Week. We also talked about those digital badges that US News allows for us to now add, and I think that that's permanent to our logo,
Yeah,
and how we would connect with you around how we want to utilize
yeah,
those. And maybe even putting, I think one of our board members wanted to do a banner, like, first in Ward 7, first DCPS school in Ward 7, something along those lines, or maybe just the specific award itself, so that it doesn't necessarily seem like we're deviating. Miss Watts, I think you have your hand up.
Yes. Um, I was thinking that we could also make it a celebration, but a fundraiser at the same time. So I was thinking like a baseball jersey or a jersey of some sort with the number 42 on the back, and something signifying maybe on the front, like first, in the ward, but
Mm-hmm.
everybody would have like the number 42 as
Mm-hmm.
their signifying number. And then the cost of the printing and of the jersey would be offset with, paying for the jersey itself, and let the kids order it. That way it would be advertising, so that would help for enrollment when, they traveled wearing their jersey, and people would inquire and see that this school got that recognition. So it would be advertisement for that. It would be also a fundraiser to raise funds and offset the cost of the printing. And it's just be something proud that the kids could wear to say, my school is great in that way.
and just to
Okay.
jump in on that, Ms. Wise, it's so it's number 46. So it's 46 and 36. So 46 in DC public schools, along with the elementary schools and charter schools. And then the other ranking was 36, number 36, and straight out DC public schools. And then so 46 and 36, and definitely what President Carver mentioned about number one and Ward 7 and Ward 8. So just
You
if
could
we do it a
decide
number, don't
which
put
one.
42. It's 46 and 30. 46 would be our number.
Okay.
Complete agreement. Everybody,
But
everybody else.
we
Oh,
try to
go
be
ahead.
number one, period.
I,
Like,
I'm tempted to put down that number one, but I don't want to necessarily. I know we're number one. We're number one
yeah,
for us, but I don't want to necessarily, make the other schools feel bad,
yeah. And I
but
want to be,
but
we
amongst
want to,
ourselves, we can talk about this.
yeah. But whoever the school is actually ranked number one. Like, we want
Oh yeah, they would
number one
definitely feel some
across
kind
the
of way.
board. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It'd be
No,
great.
this number one, like, I go number one across the board.
Oh
Like,
yes,
take that school down. Like, that's all.
take them down.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely, I agree. I agree. I've got parents calling me. I can't answer right now, y'all. I'm sorry. Please text me. Let's see. So Principal Branch, you're going to send over all the materials and all of the, and I think the flags you mentioned in terms
Yeah, I can
of,
send it. I can
okay,
send it to you. Because U.S. News, I guess they had their own vendor that makes U.S. News
okay,
is
that's important to
embedded
know.
on there, and then there's a
Mm-hmm.
company called Showcase Schools who also seems to be a vendor. The Showcase vendor is a little cheaper, but I can send you both. But the U.S. News, you'll see it shows much more branding and letting it be
Okay.
known, making it clear that it came from the U.S. News and World Report.
Okay, awesome.
But
And
it's higher
then
than what you
we're
would.
also
It's a little higher, man.
say that again. I'm sorry.
It's a little higher than what
Oh, it's
you
a little
would
bit higher price.
expect. Yeah, that's why I didn't even bother you with it.
Well,
You'll see. It's a little
I
higher.
mean, yeah, we all want to save. But
Yeah,
knowing that they have designated vendors, potentially exclusive vendors, is really important because I do like the idea of doing Beer's jersey, with either 46 and or 36. We're DC public school, so we can probably just do 36 amongst DC public schools on there in DC citywide. But either or would be good for me. I like the idea of doing a jersey sales fundraiser, maybe doing some portion of Art Alive.
yeah.
Down while I'm thinking about it.
Or do you know how how I'm not a Lakers fan, but you know how Kobe, when he passed, they had jerseys that said 8 and 24. Like maybe we could have
Okay.
jerseys like 46 and 36,
Okay, that's a great idea, like the
something
Kobe
like that.
jersey.
Yeah.
I'm a Kobe fan, by the way. I'm not always a Lakers fan, but I'm always a Kobe
Yeah, yeah.
fan. Black
Kobe,
Mamba.
cool. I just can't blame with the Lakers what they did to the Sixers in the back in the day.
Look, you're gonna start a whole different
I know, right?
conversation. All right. All right. Okay. So if there are no other thoughts or comments at present in terms of celebrating the deserved recognition, number one, DC Public School in Ward 7, that is a fact. We're going to move on to our next agenda item. Going once, going twice. Waiting to want to make sure everyone has the
Yeah,
opportunity.
I'm sorry. This is Nora. I just wanted to. I'm not going to belabor this, so and this could be a side conversation. So this whole recognition is really because of U.S. News. We didn't go and contact them; they did it themselves. They reviewed everything. So I just want to make sure that it's independent of our school or our school system.
It
Is
is.
that clear? Okay, that's
Yeah,
even better.
yeah. That is
And
this
then,
is not something we did or even asked for. They
right,
did, as you're saying, they did their own independent analysis of
right,
DC public schools and they ranked us how they ranked us.
okay,
You know, and
and
like,
got it.
yeah.
Okay, and then only one thing that I will say about if we get the t-shirt with our number ranking, remember it changes yearly.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you do not want to have that number ranking on an advertised item, only
Mm-hmm.
because it will change yearly. But if
Mm-hmm.
one year you did get that recognition, just to have that badge matters anyway. So in 2024 or 2025, we got the recognition, but sometimes the ranking changes, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
just caution that you consider, that number ranking because it changes, yearly. But no one
That's a
can
great
take
idea.
away what you won in the year that you won. That's all I
Mm-hmm.
say. And in terms of promotion of, hey, look at us, we made it. It's always important, not just in sponsorship, but in community as well. So I just don't take away the number, but make sure you note the year, you know, so that helps with the changes that happen yearly.
Absolutely. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, I just got a request that I email the agenda over, so I'm sending it So my thoughts on that immediately are okay. In our jersey design, potentially, if and when we go that route, right, we can, designate 2024, 2025. It depends on how busy it looks. We're already kind of like maybe juggling one or two numbers, so on and so forth. But I think that it is important to let folks know that is year specific and the ranking changes. And the ranking may have changed in between years. Just don't know how to necessarily go about that if we're going to incorporate the badges and the numbers into our marketing materials, websites, and so on and so forth. So more to consider around that point. Any other thoughts?
I would just say it's a good problem to have. We
That's very
earned that
true.
recognition for 23, 24. We are already into 24, 25. And if we crack that top 40, whatever, like Ms. Green said, we're just gonna keep moving up. So we want the numbers to change anyway.
Absolutely. We are officially top 50 in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah. Citywide, we are in the top 50%, which is not easy to do. I think there are 100. Oh, hold on.
Yeah. You don't want to be in that bottom
125 school. Hold on. Let me look back at my notes.
17, I think, or 14.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
You just don't want to be in that 40.
125 elementary schools in the District of Columbia. So, yeah, well into the top, not just barely into the top 50. I could probably do the math if my brain was fresh, but like close to the top 20, at least top 40% in the school. So, in the District of Columbia, and that's out of all elementary schools, public school and charter.
Yes, sir.
Doing well.
Hey,
Okay.
hey, CQ, I have also an idea.
Okay.
Maybe like how we design Letterman jackets, maybe have a patch on the sleeve so that
Okay.
as we continue to improve our rankings,
right
we
there.
can just purchase a patch and put the patch on the sleeve of whatever jersey or Letterman jacket or whatever for our community.
That's the one.
That is the one right there. I see Miss Dre nodding her head.
That's the one right there.
And that would have the year on it, so that would we could have multiple patches for multiple years, right?
Yep, and we could continue the fundraising efforts because every year we would just purchase the patch, and so the patch on our.
Yes, Madam Treasurer. Yes, Madam. When she says fundraising efforts like that, what she's saying is don't spend too much money. Right? I want y'all to know. I want y'all to know what I deal with. It's a good problem. As the principal said, it's a good problem to have. Let me write this down.
I even like the idea, first 50 in the city.
Oh, that's okay.
That's a really cool slogan.
Top 50.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Top or first. First is what she said. In the city. And so currently our recording secretary hasn't been able to join us yet, and also our vice chair is keep her in prayers. I don't want to necessarily share what's going on, but she had like a family emergency with one of her older relatives. So please forgive me having to make sure I take detailed notes so I can respond to things immediately, and I'm hopping between screens. Also doing a little bit of technical work on the side so we can make sure our Facebook Live audience is taken care of. Okay, where are we now? So next, well, I do want to get more ideas about celebrations. So please keep that in mind. Whether we want to do a student recognition or like a school-wide ice cream party or something like that, Principal Branch, we can circle back on that. The next thing we have, and Principal Branch, you may want to just take the lead on this overall. I know that you and AP Hoagland had planned a couple of parent meetings around the DC Cape. I have some talking points, but if you would, you being the ranking expert, would you please just kind of run through the general, announcement so that our parents and obviously other members, other attendees can be aware of your thoughts on the preparations and kickoff.
Okay, I'm gonna actually see if Hoagland is on, because I want to take that from her.
Absolutely.
Give me 1 second. Hoagland, are you on with us?
Mm.
Give me 1 second, sir.
Absolutely.
So
While we're waiting, oh, go ahead.
yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
don't see her in the chat. I'm gonna try to send one more text to her, and if not, I'll take the lead on it.
Okay.
So I'm getting
So,
in
you
trouble.
know, we definitely want to support this process as a PTO. We want to actively support the staff as they try to get the students ready, support our students, and foster enthusiasm for the assessments. Right. We want to make sure that you know anything that the school needs, we're there to support. We also want to make sure that we provide facilitation of partnerships wherever need be. So as we try to get in contact with AP Hoagland, who's leading this effort, I just want folks to keep in mind that as the DC Cape comes up, it is a, mostly, I think it's completely digital based assessment. Sometimes our students have a little bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah.
If hey, Karen, they have a little bit of a
Uh-oh.
disadvantage.
Hello.
Hey, Karen, how are you?
You don't get it. I really, really did. Enjoy my food.
Hey,
Uh-oh.
hey, can you hey, Karen, can you hear me? I'm gonna go ahead and place you on mute. There we go. I don't think that was necessarily for us all. Okay. And what were you about to say, Principal Branch?
No, I thought Miss Falk was about to go off about the technology part of it.
Okay. I didn't know that was Miss Falk. I recognized her voice, but I just saw her first name. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, who is that? I mean, let me
Message.
circle back and make sure she wasn't trying to speak to all of us about that.
Yeah.
Because that is an important issue. Oftentimes we're at as to unmute. Oftentimes, our students who don't know how to use a mouse or a touchpad, who've only used tablets or cell phones, when we're taking assessments using technology that requires the usage of a mouse or a touchpad and or a keyboard, they're at a slight disadvantage. They may be used to the QWERTY keyboard on a phone, but they may not have the keyboarding skills that used to be taught. I
Yeah.
don't want to say back in my day, but back in my day, right?
Back in
And
my day.
so, yeah, it's a lot of our days. And
So it's
so, that there's an innate disadvantage there. And in some cases, we need to make sure that we give them the opportunity to practice utilizing those tools in advance.
yeah.
I invited Ms. Falk to unmute. If she wants to come back on, she can. But what
Okay.
were you about to say about, and just in terms of announcing the
Yeah.
effort?
So I'll talk. I think Hogan's
I
still
see your
trying
hand.
to get in. I'll talk, but no, Hogan's still trying to get in. But of course, our DCK. I actually just sent the email out on Dojo to our parents in third, fourth, and fifth graders.
Mm-hmm.
That was a request for snacks, which is important but not the most important. But that was a request for snacks because when our third, fourth, and fifth graders take the DCK, we try to make sure they have a snack every day. President Culver, I think you and I talked about it earlier in the year.
Mm-hmm.
But we did send out one initial request to help us with snacks. Our third and fourth graders test for 6 days, essentially. And our fifth graders test for 8 days. So we want to be able to let them have snacks every single day. So if you think about it, like let's say fifth grade has 50 or 60 kids, right? And then they test for 8 days. That's 480 snacks, 480 probably bottles of water that we would need to make sure that they have something every single day. So that's one thing that we send out just to 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, just to support with snacks if possible. Of course, we'll do our part as much as we can to not have to rely on parents, but any type of healthy snack or bottled water would be appreciated for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. But in terms of the DCK, it is right around the corner for us. We've been prepared for it all school year because our kind of slogan or motto is good instruction is the best test prep. So we don't like switch into, oh, now it's time to get ready for the cake. We're teaching to the tested standards all year. So we always focus on how our students are going to do for the cake. The test begins, we're going to have our window start in May. So we'll have pretty much a 3-week window when we're testing on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. We're going to have parent meetings because when we set it up, 3rd graders will have their dates and time, 4th graders have their dates and time, 5th graders will have their dates and time. And I believe you all may know 5th grade also takes science. They're the only grade in elementary school who takes science, so they'll have an extra assessment. So we're going to end up having parent meetings for each grade, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And in those meetings, we really want to be able to provide our parents with like test taking tips, test taking strategies, things that parents can do at home to make sure that our children are a little more successful. Like, for example, 3rd grade, we might have you all sign up to receive daily text messages of vocabulary words, right? And they'll be the words that our students are expected to encounter as they take the test. So that's one way that you'll see that you all can help us is by helping our students expand their academic vocabulary. We'll also get more into the types of assessment items our students will have. So we'll talk about what's a selected response, like what you all know is a multiple choice question, and then also some open-ended responses where we'll discuss ways to help our students write their responses in a manner that will have the people grading their assessments give them a score of a 2 or a 3. We'll also have rubrics that we can share with you all to show you how students are going to be graded, because we believe if we give our students the rubric in advance, that lets them know what the test graders are looking for, and it makes it easier for us to give them exactly what they want to see. Like if they want to see an opening and closing, middle, or whatever it is they want, we're going to be able to give it to them. The most important part, other than our students' regular knowledge of their math and reading skills, is what we all always have conversations about, dealing with the technology enhanced items. That, I think we talked about it the last time we was on. That's where assessment inequity really comes into play, because students from more affluent homes may have different access to devices. They may have different times to learn technology. And I'm talking about doing more than just like pushing buttons and playing games, like learning how to drag and drop, to scroll, to move an item from one side of the computer screen to another, to hit radio buttons and things of that nature.
Or use scroll bars.
Yeah, it's scroll bars, right? So there's about 15 specific technology enhanced items that we will try to make sure our students are mastering throughout the course of the school year, and definitely when it's time to test, we'll be able to give you all those items too, so you'll know exactly what they are and be able to support us at home as well. Another thing that is going to be beneficial is when we start talking about next school year, is just making sure our students are stronger in computer science, computer literacy, and digital literacy as well. That is how you close I guess the digital divide that's in our city. Is making sure that we could explicitly teach our students the 21st century skills that some of them may not currently have a strong command over. You may need.
Okay. Principal Branch, give me just a second. We got one hand up, and also we're getting a little close on time here. I definitely want to keep it in that hour and 10-minute window, because it's a Thursday night. So
I definitely
but no,
don't go too long. I want to let AP Hogan talk, but that was just
no,
like high level overview of what those meetings will look like for third, fourth, and fifth. Thinking about the question types, the multiple choice, the open-ended responses, and focusing on technology enhanced items, and then just doing little quick things that you all can help us with in terms of reading and math.
Real briefly paraphrasing, those 15 technology and enhanced items, the vocabulary words and other rubrics, those are low hanging fruit. Those are things we can do parents can do at home or go over at home.
Yes. It's just that sometimes when you are coming from certain backgrounds, like you may have tutors who teach you that. You may go to like a after school program and they focus on that. And you may come from a home where you don't have internet service, or you don't have devices to get that time in. So we just want to make sure, regardless of our students' socioeconomic background, that we have it covered for them.
Absolutely.
I didn't want to
is this Miss Brodus? I see Dawn has her hand up. But I don't want to necessarily have the wrong person. So, Miss Dawn, did you still want to speak?
Yeah, it's Chase's mom, Dawn. Not
okay. Hey, how are you, Dawn? Hey, Dawn, how are you?
Hey.
How did everything work out with those water bottles this morning? He get them over to Miss Davis?
Yes, she's very appreciative.
Strong guy.
Yeah. I just had a question. I did see the message in reference to the snacks, but when or how would you be accepting them? Because if you're saying the test is in May, and people are, willing to donate now, like how are we gonna house them? That was like my only thing.
So, Principal Brents, the question is, if we donate now,
I got put on mute. So we can, I got put on mute. So we can send you out an email. Anyone who wants to donate now can send out an email. But what I typically do, my name is Terry Hogan. We'll just try to buy it out of our own pocket, and we will house everything in Mr. Terry's office. We would keep it in our lockers to make sure that none of those little critters that may come around actually get to it. And we would also have the waters. The earliest I've ever purchased it on my own would probably be in March. So I just wanted to put it out there in case any parents wanted to be prepared to help us out. So March is the earliest I would start holding things, because there's been years that we started testing the second week of April. But as long as everything is in pretty much cardboard boxes, we would keep it secured in Mr. Terry's office, and then be able to give it out on the days of testing. The water is, great. And I'm trying to make sure I also don't have any parents upset with the type of snack. So whatever we all deem a healthy snack would be great, even though I know the kids would probably love like some Chips Ahoy cookies or something, but I want to make sure that we are still being healthy.
Okay. Real quick. So parents would just drop off snack donations in the front office?
Yes, sir. We can make we'll make something and say drop them off here, probably in the main office or right with security, and then we here.
And when do you want that to start? What day would you like to designate as a start date for those drop-offs?
Give me 1 second. I would say that I can send something out for March.
March.
March 24th would be a good time to start holding everything. Right after St. Patrick's Day, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Monday, March 24th would be a good time. If you needed hours, we could say drop off from 9 to 4 or something like that. And then we could also have an after school time drop off window of I don't know, 5 to 6 or something like that, in case anybody who works late still wanted to bring something.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you, if you bought me something tomorrow, I would have a place to hold it securely until we're ready for it.
You just said you want healthy snacks, nothing with all those preservatives.
Yes, I don't want any smoke with the non-healthy snacks.
I wouldn't either.
I want
Our
everybody to
parents can
be
be tough.
happy. I want everybody to be
Mm-hmm.
happy, but healthy as possible, please.
Absolutely.
Thank you, President. Is there a way where when parents donate, we could provide that donation letter to those parents?
Absolutely. If they kept a list in the front office, then we could ooh, okay. Let me think about that. If they kept a list in the front office with the parents and their email address, the ones that wanted a write-off, then as long as we had the email address, we could send an email to them. They could just send us their receipt, and then we could do the donation letter.
I think.
Okay. And you good with, you wouldn't need our DCPS one, right? Because this is dealing with the PTO, right?
You can use your DCPS, your EIN number too as well. But we're trying to support you however
Okay.
you would like. So if you would like to handle that process, that's absolutely fine with us. We would
Okay.
just
I was just gonna give you the link that we give to people for any time a donation is under $500.
Say that to me again. I'm sorry.
I was going to give you the link that we use from DCPS anytime a donation is under
$500. Okay.
Yeah, we don't got to go through downtown and all that paperwork.
Makes sense. I definitely want to I don't want to do it right now, but I definitely want to circle back on the conversations we had around getting grants for additional technology, and also building the endowment around that, because that would be a great help right now, as well. So more to come on that. I look forward to that discussion. I think also Bianca's not able to be with us tonight, but she wants us to pursue a grant of that nature as well. I have her notes. It should be in there. And so when we get down to the financial update portion of the meeting, I'll go over that. All right. So the first thing I want to do is just do a recap on what our budget situation has looked like over the last couple of years. And Allison, if you'd like to chime in, please let me know. Let's see. Okay. But like over, I think I want to say the last 5 budget cycles, Ambeers has received a budget cut for something. Prior to COVID, and I'm gonna keep this very brief because I know we're getting close on time, but prior to COVID, we were well over our both our projected enrollment numbers and our what I like to call like our fire code number for the number of students we had at our school, and yet we still received budget cuts. During COVID, it was a little bit better. The city was making a lot of excuses, and it ended up we ended up as a city with a budget surplus. After COVID, they didn't hold us harmless. It wasn't considered an act of God. We had like 1 year of grace, and even though our enrollment numbers are back over our technical fire code, which is around 400, we're still actively receiving budget cuts for the last 2 years after the quote unquote the height of the pandemic. I say all that to say I want to call for volunteers, right? You can email us at anbeerspto@gmail.com. Tyler, if you could just put the email address in the chat. And if you'd like to volunteer to be a part of our budget advocacy effort, right, which we're going to do three parts. One, we're going to develop talking points. We're going to talk about our school. We're going to talk about how these budget cuts have affected us over time. And we're going to do a little bit of analysis, which everyone doesn't have to participate in, a little bit of comparative analysis to see if these budget cuts are comparable to what other schools are going through, right? Two, we're going to utilize our information and documentation to just visit with council members. You can do one or two things. You can send out an email, right, which will write a form email, a template that everyone can like copy, paste, add to, take away from, to the council, just a request that they pay more attention to our budgetary needs, our school's budgetary needs. Last year in the like going into last year and the year before, we had increasing teacher salaries and decreasing budget, and previously up to 7% inflation. This was really, really crazy. But this year, we're, and correct me if I'm wrong, Principal Branch, we're more than 40 to 50 students over our projected enrollment from last year, and well over the number 430, which would have afforded us at least one more teaching position, right? And so I definitely need to just like all hands on deck, make a call out for us to engage the council around what things look like for Ann Beers. And the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and that's how it is during budget season. And then the last thing is, when the oversight hearings come up, those individuals who are willing and able to testify or just send in testimony, I want to ask those folks to be ready so that we can make this an annual thing. We can make a showing of at least 5 parents, right? Five parents who can just speak truth to power. It doesn't have to be very long. We can do it as a group if we would like, but just speak on the issue of Ann Beers. That way we stay fresh on DCPS's and the council's mind in terms of knowing that there are at least 5 parents who will come and testify before hearing, at least 5 parents who will come down to the Wilson building and just stop in at the various offices and say, hi, we're from Ann Beers. Here's some paperwork. Let's have a quick discussion with you. We'll do all this. The PTO will do all the scheduling. And we will respond if there's a need to. And I see 2 hands up, two of our strongest advocates. Our advocacy committee co-chair, Ms. Nura, had her hand up first, and then Ms. Allison, if you would go after her. Go ahead.
Okay. So just FYI, because I wanted to verify. So the DC Council no longer has a committee of education. It's the committee of the whole.
Yep.
And so Phil Mendelson, Chairman Phil Mendelson is the whole, runs that whole thing. He has been one of our greatest advocates too, as he had sent a message to Mayor Bowser last school year about the cutting of funds for several, and in particular, he mentioned Ann Beers in his letter. So I will work with our PTO to write a short letter of how you can explain that. But I will say that coming up on January 28th, the committee of the whole is meeting. They will be meeting on February 6th and February 18th. I haven't gotten clarity on which, what they will focus on, but I'm certain that any of those committee meetings, we can at least be present there. And I agree with even having a meeting, because all of the at-large council members represent us, as well as our newly elected council member, Wendell Felder. So just so that everyone is clear, we do have champions on board, but we do need to make sure that our voices are raised. And we should also include in that that we did get recognition through US News. So the cuts in our budget, the impact on our children, the impact on the teachers and the staff affects the way in which our children will be able to receive quality and equitable instruction. And so it is very important that we have that time with them and that we are present. The budget hearings are coming up. I think we might have missed ours, but regardless, the committee of the whole is the one that is responsible for education. That's all. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And so that's a different approach too, because I wouldn't have thought of that, Nura, of just going to the regular committee of the whole meetings, right? And so I think that that's also a good opportunity. I want to talk with you more about how we structure that, be, mainly because I want to make it easy for parents who have never testified before. Um, the three things that we really want to do as we call for volunteers are brainstorm around talking points, tour the council. So, like as you mentioned, the committee of the whole is responsible. So that means all 13 of the council members have to hear our requests. But we would probably focus specifically, like you said, on Chair Mendelson, the at-large community members, and I'm inviting Councilmember Felder just to come out and speak to the Beers PTO next month. And we talked about that. We talked, as you know, we talked about that last month. Also, Nora, real quick, I just want to commend your advocacy around the efforts to keep our sidewalks and steps clear during the snow. I forgot to mention that early in the meeting, but thank you so much for raising that up for everyone, including our new DGS director, so that they will be aware that just cleaning the front of the building where the office is not sufficient, or removing the snow from the front of the building because that ice was pretty bad. Also, Principal Branch, great job to you and the facilities maintenance guys. And I don't know if any of the teachers or staff were able to chip in, but we heard about you guys being out there shoveling the snow, and you can definitely make a call for help anytime something like that comes up, because I would have grabbed both of my show snuffles and pitched in as well. Sharon did the drop off that day.
I
Okay.
appreciate it. The parents definitely helped because long before the snowstorm came, probably like not long, but like 2 or 3 days before this snowstorm came, is when I started to engage with DGS, and making sure that our school was taken care of. I sent several emails to Ebony Rose Thompson, where she was able to see like almost a 3-day back and forth exchange, which basically equated to us having to go out there and shovel. I'm not gonna say nothing bad about DGS, but it ended up with us having to go out and shovel at the end of the day. And the parents shed even more light on it with some photos, sent me a couple emails, and I was like, here are the people that should have been helping us. And that really got the ball rolling. DGS came later, but they did come. So
Okay.
I
All
still
right. So I again, we're at 6, and you know how many you can do, right?
yes, sir.
So I
But look,
definitely this meeting I want to be mindful, and like
one
we're
thing I
gonna
want
start
to
the year off right. Go
okay.
ahead.
One thing, and this is my last thing. When you
Okay.
do go to talk about the budget, just make sure that someone speaks about our actual buying power, because it's gonna look like we have more money because the cost of positions have gone up, the cost
Right.
of material supplies
Right.
like that have gone up, but it's not going to be more money when you look at our actual buying power, and that's where they're going to make the data tell a different story than what it actually is, especially
Absolutely.
War 7 and War 8.
And that's what we mean when we say that, like you said, the salaries are going up, right? And we definitely want to pay our teachers because they work hard, right? The inflation has gone up and down, right? But a lot of the prices that were fixed at a certain point by inflation haven't come back down, right? The need is greater, we're dealing with a consistent set of budget cuts over the last 6 years, right? And so our buying power is very small compared to what it looks like we have coming in. What we can actually do is very small. So I just wanted to paraphrase that. Again, we're talking about calling for volunteers to help us brainstorm talking points. Just visit the Wilson building. We'll do it like an advocacy day. And then also testify. And Nura has laid out some dates that we may want to target. Allison, you've been very patient. You've had your hand up for a little while now.
Okay. So yeah, what I'll add on the sort of the budget and advocacy side. So from my experience, just both as a parent and someone who tends to testify regularly. So here's what has effectively kind of been happening over the last few years. So for one thing, if anyone's not familiar with how the DCPS budget process works, the first thing that happens is DCPS budget, and they send it to the school. And so the LSAT, we help to advise principal branch on the budget, but we usually have a very tight turnaround. Like in a good year, we might have 2 weeks. I haven't seen it been more than like 3 weeks in quite a while. And then we give feedback, and then it goes back to DCPS and the mayor presents the budget. So that kind of that first opportunity is the first look that we give. When we go to council, what the council effectively does is they are the ones who can change what the mayor proposes. And so there's usually some need, it's often common that the same issues you all were talking about, they didn't necessarily cut the school budget in terms of the numbers didn't go down, but they didn't go up enough to pay for all of the positions. So that's usually the case. So it looks like the dollar amount went up, but then when we look at how many staff positions we can hold, we almost always have to yell about something. And last year, or coming into the school year, it looked like we were in good shape. But then I guess, sort of after the whole budget cycle, then we got an increase in enrollment. And so, now 5th grade is overcrowded instead of us having a third teacher. So I think what I've seen is yes, it's right there. So I think what I've seen is it's really important for us to, one, get to the council hearing on the education budget. That's where everybody across the city comes to say, our school's not funded enough, and here is specifically what we need. It is important to have a presence there, and to directly advocate to the council. As Nira said, there is not a specific education committee. It's a committee of the whole. And Chairman Mendelson really, really does run that, and he keeps a tight grip on what's happening with education. But he also has jumped in, particularly when there's been really egregious things happening with school budgets. So we'll try to communicate. I'm one of the LSAT members, Dr. Brodus. I know we have some others on. So we'll try to communicate with the PTO, as far as what we see for what's being proposed in the school budget. But just know it can be kind of a quick turnaround, bang. And then also when they do announce the school budget hearings, the education budget hearings, you have to sign up as soon as you see the link. There were 400 people who signed up last year. Like so as soon as you see it, if you think you can go, sign up. You can always cancel later.
Just one more thing to that.
So hold on, Principal Branch, before you jump in there, I want to highlight something that Allison said just for a second, right? So one thing is we're proposing to intervene in the process. Now, it's important to understand the process. So what Allison said was, usually what happens is that DC Public Schools sends out its proposed budget, right? The council, receives that budget, holds what's called oversight hearings, and that's generally our opportunity to reply. And in order to be a part of those oversight hearings, we have to sign up as soon as we see the link, right? Then what happens is the council will make its recommendations back to DCPS on what they should do in the general. The council doesn't address individual schools, right? And then the mayor will come back with her final budget, which will either keep what DCPS and all of her other agencies are proposing, all 49 other agencies are proposing in the same direction, in the same space or not. And then the council will do some horse trading, move funds around, and confirm either her budget or their final draft of the budget. What I'm proposing that we do is we change the game. A lot of times we talk about 1 year's budget. Oh, from this year to this year, this budget recommendation has been made and we don't think it's fair, right? What I'm saying is we need to go ahead and look at the last 6 years, the changes that have happened in the last 6 years, and make a very succinct narrative that everyone can copy and paste, right? That we sit down, brainstorm how we want to word everything, right? Get that and copy and paste and call, script, right? And let people copy, paste, and send or call where they want to. And then we visit the council. We would also send this off to the chancellor. We would send this to the MOKers and to the mayor and to the deputy mayor for education. But none of the volunteers have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about signing up to testify, any of that. What we're going to do is we're going to sit down, help everybody get ready, develop the talking points, write up their testimonies of what they want to do. You can participate just with our group. You can participate by with our group going to the council. You can make phone calls, you can send emails, or you can just tell a neighbor and a friend, right? We're making it real easy. We're changing the narrative so that before DCPS sends out their proposed budget for our school, we're saying like, hey, look, we're putting you on notice, right? We're putting you on notice. Our enrollment numbers exceeded our projected enrollment, which you thought our enrollment numbers and funds should be by so much that we deserved additional teaching positions, and we've been doing that consistently. You didn't hold us harmless during COVID, right? You treated it like the enrollment decrease was both our fault. By looking at the funding, and something that was going to be static. And we need you guys to adjust what you're doing accordingly, right? We're not even going to talk about slashing half of DC public schools' budgets by 5% in a year when teacher salary is going to increase, inflation, any of that. We're just going to say, hey, like if you look at the last 6 years, right? Our enrollment has exceeded expectations, even coming out of the pandemic. And we need you guys to readjust the resources you're providing for us, because obviously in the middle of the school year you don't have the funds to respond when our enrollment exceeds by over 40 or 50 seats your projections, and when we end up with overcrowding and understaffing for our student population, right? So that's what we're doing here. We're getting out ahead of DCPS's proposed budget with a long narrative, not a reaction to what they're proposing this year, and we're just asking for volunteers in advance. Principal Branch.
So I just wanted to jump in. I wanted to follow up. I think, what was that, Ms. Piner Brown speaking? But yours too. Just to remember, if there is a budget cut more than 5% and at least a more 7% in our school, that's a violation of DC law. So that should be first argument. Second, please remember, budgets, I think since COVID came out, since we were hit with COVID, were larger because we received ESSER funds that were still associated with when we had President Obama and that 1965 Elementary and Secondary Schools Act, which was still like No Child Left Behind. But those ESSER funds are gone, and a lot of schools over the last 3 years are now back to that pre-COVID budget, or even worse. So we need to speak to that too. There's that grant money is no longer available, and it needs to be something put in place to help sustain what was used when we first had it. There has to be something like to support the sustainability of those grant funds.
Absolutely. Okay, just looking through the comments. Okay.
Q, I dropped in my notes the DC budget, DCPS budget process timeline so that we can see that. So if anybody wants to click on that link, it will take you directly to it. It speaks to the funding and all of that. So you have that at your fingertip just to click on and see how DC Public Schools goes through the process and the different allocations. So it's pretty user friendly, the website.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Madam Chair, Co-Chair, Advocacy Chair, Co-Chair. Okay. I'm going to move to our next agenda item and hopefully get everyone out of here before 6:30. Looking at Bianca's notes. Open. Okay. Now, usually some of this would be Treasurer Nicholas's to announce. However, over the holiday break, we've talked about getting some housekeeping things done, but we haven't gotten it done. So I'll beg her apologies. Just want to announce that our current account balance is $13,254.41. Obviously, the whole of the spending between last meeting in October and now needs to be broken down. But it was primarily donations and then our Winterfest event. I'm happy to say that we've been doing active fundraising to offset some of that. I think the Support My Squad fundraiser raised $1,075. The next fundraiser is between the 14th and the 21st. Bianca says that's 100% profit for our initiatives, whether we're supporting, the victims of tragedy in our school, or the needs of our parents, teachers, and staff, or celebrating and congratulations everyone celebrating our success on the U.S. News and World Report ranking. For Winterfest in particular, and I'm trying to summarize here. So pardon me if I'm a little bit choppy. I'm just trying to skip through. We spent $755 for materials and gift cards, and $204 for pizza, for a total of $959.01. She'll have more info about Art Live within the next few weeks, and I also want to invite everyone to our sponsorship collaboration meeting. We want to kind of keep this meeting small. It will be at a resident's house, but if you are interested in grant writing, in working with community, or in just expanding the scope of our PTO sponsorship, probably be having the meeting either the first or second week of February, over at Earl Williams's home, which is not too far from the school, here in Hillcrest. And we would love to have additional support from folks who don't mind knocking on doors, but more importantly, knocking on business doors, just to disseminate literature and begin to have those initial conversations, especially with some of our major corporations over at Skyline, which have corporate giving programs. Principal Branch.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, because it's our first time meeting since I think December. So
October.
October.
Our first PTO meeting since
Yeah.
October. We did other events in December, and then I think in November we wanted to do some events, but we weren't able to do them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's cool. I just wanted to say, because I know I've talked to you, but I just wanted to thank everybody from the PTO for the Winterfest event. I believe that was our first one.
Nope.
Of many.
It's actually our second one. We want to make it an annual thing, and it's been huge both times. I don't know if anyone has any pictures that they can share or from the event, but it's like we literally packed the auditorium both years, but this year we spilled into the hallway. So
Yeah.
it was huge.
No, so I just wanted to thank you all for that, for giving that opportunity, giving that experience to our students and our families and community. We definitely appreciate it. It was a great way to get right into the holiday season. So I just wanted to publicly acknowledge and thank the PTO for that as we get ready for our third annual Winterfest event.
Absolutely.
Pop up. So thank you all for that.
Absolutely. Okay, guys. Let's see. Did I cover everything? I think that there were a couple of things that I wanted to cover, but we're getting closer to our deadline now. So I'm just going to open up the floor again, like we kind of do at the beginning of our meeting. I'm going to be doing that regularly as we give that 10 minutes for folks to come in. Are there any final thoughts, comments, or announcements that people didn't have an opportunity to make during the meeting, or topics that they either want to cover for now or put on the agenda for next meeting, or even have the PTO look into between meetings? I know sign language interpretation is one topic that we probably need to look into. I got a couple of emails about a parent who's looking for an interpreter. And so I'm working through that. It's about $45 an hour for sign language interpretation. And so what I want to do is either get a grant or find another means to kind of like cover that, because we try to keep our monthly bills small and stay above the at least the $10,000 watermark, so we can afford to do our end of year fundraisers and have money going into next year. So we always try to reserve about $10,000. That means that we're about $3,000. We have about $3,000 that we can really, really work with at this time. Miss Green.
Yes, this is about fundraising, but it's not the fifth grade. Is this separate? If there will there be a fifth grade fundraiser separate from the normal Art Live and other fundraiser activity for this fifth grade class?
I think that that's one of the things that Bianca was going to speak to tonight. I know that we
Oh,
also wanted to support the ski trip, but she really had to scramble
yeah,
abruptly.
yeah.
The hospital called her family members
Okay,
and
that's
told her to
fine.
come now. So that's
Okay,
why she isn't
understood,
speaking today.
understood.
But we
Okay.
And
are
then I did upload those Facebook pictures that I took from the
Okay.
Winter Fest. It's on the PTO page.
Thank you very much. Very much appreciate you there.
and we
As
are
always.
um uh,
Dr. Lang.
we
She
will get ready to
often
have a
call you
series
this.
of fifth grade class of 25 parent meetings as well. So we'll be in touch with all of our fifth grade families in the next few weeks to schedule those meetings to talk about the promotion ceremony, end of the year activities, caps and gowns, class t-shirts, and things of that nature.
Oh, thank you. That's excellent. Perfect.
Absolutely. Okay. Any other thoughts, questions, queries, announcements? Okay. Well, thank you as always for coming out and joining us. We really appreciate your time and energy and your support. Looking forward to our next meeting. I'll give you a meeting date really quickly. Shouldn't be juggling so much. And why aren't you cooperating? All right. So our next meeting will be on the 27th of February. We will be inviting Councilmember Felder out to talk about, just his vision for how we want to resource, especially our elementary schools, do vertical alignment of our feeder patterns. I know that Principal Branch and I have talked extensively about both STEAM funding and resourcing, and even language immersion. If we can find ways to fund and support both outside, and make sure that it's a sustainable funding mechanism. So I've been talking to the council member about that in particular. And then obviously he'll have, just his own message to the parents and things of that nature. So I'm hoping he can join us. I know that he's been very busy, but I've already invited him out for the 27th. Beyond that, you can reach out to us at nbeerspto@gmail.com if you want to add anything to the agenda, anything further to discussion or the agenda. And also, there's a local artist that I want to invite out next month on the 27th. They wrote a book, and I'll try not to give away the whole narrative, but it's in response to like being when you feel different, right? I think it's a great kids book written by a Ward 7 resident, and can help our children to navigate, just the feelings that we all deal with, insecurities that we all deal with. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all for coming out, and everyone have a blessed evening.
Thank you. Good night.
All right.
Thank you, President Culver. I work on that ASL interpreter on my end too.
Okay. Okay. I wanted to talk to you about that offline because, like, I know that some services are offered because I had to, as an ANC commissioner, I had to provide ASL every month.
Yeah.
But also the individual may have ASL. I think that we have closed captions here too, so that may be a solution rather than actually having a sign language interpreter. At least while we're doing it virtually. If we go back to in person, which we'll be doing a survey about soon, then we can do that then.
Okay.
But I look forward to circling back with you on that because I looked into it thoroughly.
Yep, I saw the email. We can get back together.
Okay.
And I can see what I can do on my side.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Of course. You guys have a great night. Go ahead and close us out.